Borderlands 3. When you hear the name, you instantly think guns, war, lasers, and of course loot. There are more guns to loot in Borderlands 3 than any one person will ever be able to obtain in-game. However, before I ever played the Borderlands series, I was much more into games like Fallout and the like, where generally you would pick a single gun, or sometimes a couple, and build your character around it. So I always wondered how fun it would be to apply that mindset to a game not built for that playstyle. And what better way to do that than to ask the question, can you beat Borderlands 3 with only a big iron on your hip? So to start, I'm using Moze because of the skills at her disposal, such as adding incendiary damage to shots at random, her ability to regenerate ammo and get free ammo through certain skills, random explosions centered on the target you shot, and of course, copious bonuses to all damage types just mentioned. Exact skill point distribution is being shown on screen now. As for equipment, I kept it pretty simple, using only a standard dueling Bowie love drill, which has a built-in effect which sometimes doubles the gun's damage as electricity damage. It also has this wicked cool diamond hologram as a sight. I used a save editor to duplicate the gun so I can have 4 completely identical pistols. Moze has a skill which allows her to increase magazine size for every equipment piece of a matching manufacturer. So instead of having a bunch of random Jacob stuff in my other slots, I thought this would be a better alternative, so I don't accidentally use anything other than my big iron. And as for my shield, I used the Rough Rider, as Deputy Sal is one of my favorite builds in Borderlands 2. My class mod is a basic blue rarity mod that gives me plus 69 melee damage and plus 990 health regen. This is absolutely required, as without the health regen I would die 1,000 times more than I did. The relic I used simply adds corrosive damage to my melee, as well as giving me a 14% movement speed buff. I thought the corrosive damage would be very useful later on for armored enemies, but, well, you'll see. And finally, for my grenade mod, I just equipped an Echo 2 because I'm not using grenades, but I wanted something to fill the spot. And for full transparency, I am using mods. Specifically, a mod that increases base movement speed, one that makes the diamond chest cost nothing because I was too lazy to remove it and it wasn't relevant to the run at all, and one that makes it so you can't take splash damage that you caused, such as if you were to shoot an enemy close up while having a skill that causes enemies you shoot to randomly explode. Yeah, you can see why that would get annoying. The rules of the run are as follows. No using any damage source other than my big iron and cars when needed. And that's it. One single rule. I started off everything the right way by putting the game on true Vault Hunter mode, because mama didn't raise no bitch. When I spawn in, I quickly make my way over to Lilith, opening this chest and immediately remembering that loot is evil, and as such, I kill the evil loot by shooting it. After talking to Lilith, I gave her a proper Pandoran hello by shooting her many times in the face. Then, a bunch of her friends show up, so I gave them a proper Pandoran greeting as well. Unfortunately, my greetings were too strong and they all died. Lilith ran inside of a building and walked through a door, after which she started playing computer games until we were interrupted by a mouthpiece. Lilith talked a bit more and then set me free to wander the planet, which I did, until some rude strangers sent me to the Shadow Realm. So I came back, killed them all, and met Vaughn. He told me to shoot him down. I didn't hear the down part at first. So after the misunderstanding was cleared up, Vaughn told me he knew Lilith. So I put my full trust in the tighty-whitey wearing bandit war chief, and brought him to her. Lilith told me to get an alien map for her, but to do this she said I would need a car. So she sent me to go meet Ellie, who killed a man that was only exercising his freedom of speech, and shortly after noticing me, tried to play it off as if she had done nothing wrong. So as a righteous man, I tried to enact the death penalty accordingly, but Ellie is far too powerful, and forced me to jump off a cliff. I was then told to steal a car, and I'm not going to argue with Ellie, so I savagely tore a man from his vehicle and left him to walk as I drove away and did a perfect flip just to style on him that much more. I would never again achieve this level of driving skill for the remainder of the run. I then switched over to my hover wheel, which I have because I'm awesome, and made my way over to the Holy Broadcast Center to have a chat with Mouthpiece. After offering Mouthpiece a proper Pandoran greeting, I finally met the main villains firsthand, Tyrene and Troy Calypso. Lilith invaded my thoughts and told me to bring her the map I looted from Mouthpiece. And once I gave it to her, she tried some voodoo magic on it and then gave it back to me and told me to take it to a friend of hers, Patricia Tanis. She must have some weird fetish because she asked me to steal her stuff, but I wouldn't comply. So Tanis had her friends offer me a Pandoran hello. After a few minutes of Pandoran greetings, Lilith showed up and said something like, "Tanis, fish are friends, not food." And then they vanished. I don't know, I was really drunk at the time. I then answered Ellie's summons, where she instructed me to run over any 10 living creatures, then steal a floppy disk from some bandits. After which, I returned to her, bringing the blood of the creatures I killed as fuel for our spaceship. Then Tyreen and Troy attacked, and Tyreen gave Lilith the good suck. After that, I had to fight through a few bandits and get to Lilith. Once at her, I had to kill all the bandits around her. Jokes aside real quick, did anyone know that Ellie would run over and help Lilith if you don't get her up? Because I definitely didn't. After Lilith was up and Ellie told me to never mention what I saw when I met her to anyone, hopped on Sanctuary 3 and left Pandora. After reaching orbit, Lilith said something about her alarm, and everyone agreed. I then installed the floppy disk I stole from those bandits earlier, and Claptrap fucked up the navigation, making our ship explode, and making the windshield crack. Would you even call that a windshield? Whatever. Claptrap ended up fixing the problem he caused. However, I had to go help everyone else with their problems. I went and talked to Crazy Earl, then talked to Moxie, who influenced me to gamble. After that, Tyreen and Troy showed us a funny video, and finally, we set off for Promethea. After landing, I met up with Lorelei, and followed her through a drainage system. I then spent 5 full minutes trying to climb up to this car, and after reaching it, I drove it to the catch ride system, banked it, and followed Lorelei into the Atlas encampment, where we were attacked by Children of the Vault and Malawan troops. Again, jokes aside, did you know you can just run past these troops, hit the switch, kill the heavies, and talk to Reese? No need to fight the bozos outside. I learned that from a speedrun. Reese told me to kill someone named Gigamind. Lorelei gave me a worse version of the vehicle I've already been using, and I made my way over to my second favorite Vault Hunter from Borderlands 2, Zero. Zero opened a door, helped me kill some robots, and some Malawan troops. Then he upgraded his sword, cut a barrier, and showed me how to get to Gigamind's compound, where I met him next. Zero cut a wall, then we ran up to face Gigamind. The Gigamind fight was fairly easy, as he doesn't do much damage and he's weak to fire, which procs seemingly every 3rd to 4th shot. After that, I returned to Reese, gave him Gigamind's literal brain, and went back to Sanctuary, where Lilith said something about wanting to visit her friend. So we made our way to Athenas, where I fought my way through more Malawan troops, rang a bell, and met Maya. Maya helped me fight through more Malawan troops, and then sent me off on my own, where I did this cool jump to skip going around, then another cool jump to get up to where we meet Ava, who is currently looting fresh corpses, and planning to loot much older corpses, which I decide to help her with because I'm such a kind and helpful person. So after looting 3 graves, killing many people, and watching a giant bug burst from a wall like the Kool-Aid Man, I collected the iridium that Maya needs, and made my way to Captain Trant, who was easy enough to kill. Dodge, shoot, so on and so forth. This will be a very prevalent strategy for most of the boss fights in the game. After killing Trant, Maya ate some iridium, opened a door, and gave me a vault key. Lilith told me to return to Sanctuary with Maya and Ava. Once back on Sanctuary, I gave the vault key piece to Tanis, and received a call from Reese asking for help. Katagawa Jr. has a laser pointed at Atlas headquarters, and that of course means I have to go destroy it. After arriving back on Promethea, Reese told me to meet him at Launchpad 7, and upon meeting him there, the truth about Reese is exposed. His mustache was a ghost. Then, after the cutscene, the mustache came back, making me question reality. After recovering from an existential crisis, Reese gave me his Viper drive, which I used to hack a door, then a spaceship, driving the spaceship to outer orbit where Katagawa's laser is. After landing, I crossed a big gap, killed 2 Malawan troops, and then was instantly downed by a barrel, to which I died, because I had already killed the troops in the area. So from the bottom of my heart, fuck you, Beryl. After traversing the asteroid, shutting down a thruster, opening several doors, and killing many Malawan troops, I finally reached the laser. Reese played some groovy jazz music while I greeted all of Katagawa's troops with a Pandoran hello. After the troops were all dead, I used the laser to blow up Katagawa's ship, which was very satisfying. However, this made Katagawa very angry and he yelled at me, so I shot him in the balls and took the vault key piece and returned to Sanctuary. I gave the vault key piece to Tanis and returned to Lilith. Reese called again to thank me for helping him destroy the laser, then told me he has the last vault key piece. After returning again to Promethea, I made my way over to the Atlas back entrance and entered. Once inside, I waited for Reese to be done talking, and once he was, I ran past everyone in my way to hurry and reboot the turrets. After saying hello to a few robot animals, I pushed the button to reactivate the turrets, then made my way over to the back of the Atlas compound, where I had to fight even more enemies. And I died. And died. Until finally the elevator unlocked and I could take it up to Reese's office. And from there, take the secret passage down to fight Katagawa. Katagawa is weak to electric and fire, so the fight wasn't too hard. Just keep up with his clones and teleporting. After Katagawa accepted my Pandoran hello, I spoke to Reese, told him that his mustache is gross, and obtained the final vault key piece. After returning to Sanctuary, I once again gave Tanis the vault key piece, and returned to Lilith, where Reese called to tell us he knows where the vault is and is willing to show us. Maya tells Lilith to stay on the ship while she joins me to open the vault. And this brings me into one of the most annoying parts of any Borderlands 3 run: forced car sections. They suck. In true Vault Hunter mode, cars blow up very quickly, and as such, these sections are very, very annoying. So after having the car blow up a bajillion times, we moved on. Maya blew up a door, I ran through a Polyon station, and ignored every single enemy on my way through. Finally, Maya and I entered the first vault, where I placed the key, freeing the monster inside. The Rampager wasn't super difficult, but the health gate started to get very annoying. But after a lot of bullets, it accepted my Pandoran hello, and I entered the vault, grabbed the loot inside, and pushed a button. Tanis, who has been communicating with me the same way Lilith did when she was a siren, told me to leave the vault and come back to Sanctuary. But as soon as I left the vault, Tyrene and Troy showed up, beat up Ava, and gave Maya the best suck of her life, all while I stood there and did nothing to help. After the cutscene ended, I talked to Ava and returned to Sanctuary once more. On Sanctuary, everyone was gathered in a group. Tanis said some stuff, Lilith said some stuff, and Ava yelled at Lilith. After which, I talked to Lilith again, and she told me to talk to Sir Hammerlock. But when we called him, Wainwright Jacobs picked up instead, and told us that the COV were attacking the Jacobs Corporation on their planet Eden 6. So that's where we went next. After arriving on Eden 6, I spawned my hover wheel and drove up a mountain where I killed some bandits and met Wainwright Jacobs. After spouting a bunch of exposition, Wainwright told me to go meet up with someone named Meatslab, as if that code name fooled anyone. After riding the elevator back down, I fought this gate with my hover wheel, and the gate won. Acknowledging my defeat, I jumped over the gate where a bunch of bandits assaulted my feelings with bullets, then made my way over to Brick. We then fought through a metric fuckload of COV, until Brick told me to go meet someone named Crunk Bunny, and after giving Tina a Pandoran greeting, I was told to go and make a bomb, which I did very quickly and cleanly, and without killing a single enemy other than the one guy that is required. I returned to Tina, where she crafted the bomb and gave it to me. I made my way over to the bridge, and just before starting the Mordecai cutscene, went down. But after the cutscene was over, I was back up, just to die again seconds later. And again seconds after that. Finally, after killing all the COV bandits, I blew up the door and went down the hole to fight Warden. Warden wasn't too difficult, but again, the health gate is a major bitch in this game, and I did die once. But with patience, I killed Warden, freed Sir Hammerlock, and returned to Wainwright. Upon returning to Wainwright, I was contacted by Hammerlock's sister, Aurelia, who called me a whore, then offered me money to leave the planet. And after listening politely to what Hammerlock and Wainwright have to say, I leave to go collect my money and leave the planet, because it's their problem, not mine. But after making my way to the manor, and being welcomed with open arms by Aurelia, I found out something I would have never seen coming in a million years. Aurelia betrayed me. Troy phase-locked me before even being able to see me, which makes him so much more powerful than Maya ever was without any explanation as to why. And after talking for a while, Wainwright greets him properly like the Pandoran he always wanted to be. After having learned I have been betrayed, it became my life goal to meet Aurelia and offer her the properest of Pandoran greetings. Wow, this whole Pandoran greeting reference is really getting stale now, isn't it? Oh well. I made my way through the mansion and into the theater, where I was attacked by Billy the Anointed, who was very fucking annoying. This dude is legit more powerful than the fucking Rampager, and that being said, I died to him over and over and over again. Until finally, I killed him, and could move on to the stage puzzle, which as we all know is trivial. After solving the puzzle, I traversed the secret rooms and picked up a record, then returned to Wainwright and gave him the record. Wainwright told me to go to Reliance, where I met Clay, after which we freed the town and blew our way into the gun store to steal some guns. Then, after killing more bandits and turning on the power, Clay told me I had to find a man named Dalton. I drove all the way to the prison island just to realize that the prison island is pretty secure. Then Clay told me to ride a big log through the sky and jump into the prison from above. I deemed this plan passable. After properly greeting the residents of the prison island, I freed Dalton, and he gave me the key to his personal stash, but the key kinda smells funny. Anyway, I went back to Reliance and opened the safe, grabbed the gun, and talked to Clay again. Then, after talking to Hammerlock and Wainwright again, we had the privilege of listening to Montgomery Jacobs' last words. After hearing the final words of Montgomery Jacobs, I decided I needed a vacation, so I made my way out into the Eden 6 wilderness. Then, because I can't get a single fucking moment to myself, some weird-looking teddy bear started talking to me, so I freed him from the dinosaur, and he told me he would bring me to a vault key piece. After entering his ship and navigating through it, we came across Balix's ex-girlfriend Genevieve, who we gave the old Tiger Woods treatment. I mean, it was self-defense. I returned to Sanctuary, where Genevieve hacked the ship and forced us into an asteroid field. I killed her service robots and put Balix into the ship's main control system. Side note, anyone ever notice the way in which he enters the ship, or the ship enters him, as it were? I literally only noticed this now on this playthrough. Anyway, Balix beat up Genevieve and put her into a floppy disk that I gave to Marcus. I returned to Tanis and Lilith to give them the vault key piece, and went back to Eden 6 to meet up with Clay. Back in Reliance, Clay gives me the rogue sight. Now, technically this invalidates the challenge, because when we shoot the targets with the rogue sight, it does do damage to the target. However, since the target isn't an enemy, I will allow it. And if you disagree, let me know in the comments so we can argue about it. After shooting a bunch of random targets with the rogue sight, Clay told me to go to his secret spy hideout. And when I got there, it looked like someone had gone a little crazy with the Pandoran hellos. I pressed a button, talked to Clay, and met up with a couple spies to get their security IDs. After returning to the secret spy base, I used the security IDs to activate the best thing in this game, a holographic monkey. The holo monkey led me to the traitor Archimedes, who had a vault key piece, so I had to kill him and take it. Again, returning to Tanis and giving her the vault key piece, and talking to Tanis, Lilith, and Ava for a while, until finally going back to Eden 6 to finally get my revenge on Aurelia. I made my way to a secret entrance to the Jacobs Manor, helped Wainwright and Hammerlock solve a puzzle, and finally entered the arena to fight Aurelia. Aurelia should be easy, in theory, being weak to electric and fire. But like all annoying Borderlands 3 bosses, she has health gates, and health gates are cancer. But I fought through and killed her, saving Wainwright and Hammerlock. After one final puzzle, which has 3 parts, we are able to finally enter the vault. The Grave Ward fight was actually way easier than I expected it to be, and I killed it very quickly, entering the vault, grabbing the loot, and watching as Tanis vanished before my eyes. After returning to Sanctuary, Lilith says that Tanis is on Pandora, and to go there and meet up with our best friend forever, Vaughn. Upon returning to Pandora, I'm given this cutscene, as if I have never been here before, and make my way over to Roland's Rest, with Tanis screeching in my ears the entire time. Vaughn told me that Tanis was being held at Carnivora, and that I would need a really pimped out car to get in. So together, we devised a way to steal a car that Big Donnie had rightfully won and kill him in the process, so he can't sue us for theft. I legally obtained the car, offered it to Carnivora, and promptly entered the murder circus. While running through and killing all of the circus goers, I had a brilliant idea for Pain and Terror to make their show much, much better. So I decided to go to them and pitch my idea, but they responded by kicking me out and driving away. But I wasn't going to take no for an answer, so I hopped in my hover wheel and chased them down, blowing up their fuel lines and their engine and killing all of their employees. Once I finally caught up to them, they ran again, hiding in a machine they called the Agonizer 9000. The fight with the Agonizer wasn't too tough, though I did die a couple times. But I whittled the health bar down, destroyed the core, and Tannis finally revealed her siren powers. After which, I finally got the chance to tell Pain and Terror my idea, but I had forgotten it. So out of anger, I stabbed them both until they exploded. Back on Sanctuary, I made my way to Lilith again, having a talk with her, Ava, and Tannis about the Great Vault. I was then told to return to Vaughn again. By the time I got back to Vaughn, Roland's Rest was under attack by more COV bandits. After killing them all, Vaughn and I went to launch an attack on Tyrene and Troy, only to immediately realize the turrets guarding their compound are capable of shredding us. So Tannis devises a plan to control them, but she needs me to go get her science machine doohickey and bring it to Roland's Rest, which brings me into the only other forced car section of the game. And as you may remember, they fucking suck. So I ended up literally running most of the way back to Roland's Rest and re-grabbing the car whenever possible. Returning to Roland's Rest, I talked to Vaughn, then proceeded to almost blow up his car and stab it until it moved a substantial distance because I finally remembered my idea for Pain and Terror and it filled me with rage. I returned to Sanctuary again and talked to Lilith again. At this point I feel like a fucking record player. And Troy phase-locked the moon, revealing that it is actually the key to the Great Vault, which holds the destroyer from the first game, which Lilith and friends never actually killed, just further adding to Lilith's long list of L's in this game. Then Lilith, realizing she's useless without her siren powers, asked Ava, who's even more useless, to back me up in fighting Tyrene and Troy. So we went back to Pandora again. Finally, we speak with Vaughn and Tannis. Tannis goes Super Saiyan, and I meet her at the turrets, which she bribes with infinite knowledge into being our allies. Upon meeting Ava at our destination, the game tells me to follow her. Yeah, no, not fucking happening. And just as I come to this decision, I realize there's a door, and Ava has the bomb I need to get through it. So, swallowing my pride, I accept Ava's help and blow up the door. After fighting through hordes of COV bandits, being abandoned by Ava, fighting through more COV bandits, and dying multiple times, I finally arrived at the destination, Troy's Iridium supply. After flipping 2 switches and dying to a normal enemy because of fucking Healthgate, I activated 2 more switches, shot the supply tank, making it explode, and descended into the Great Vault to fight Troy. The Troy fight was a bitch and a half between lag, bullet spam, AoE attacks, homing attacks, and the stupid fucking Healthgate mechanic. It was a very difficult fight, made even more difficult by the fact that any time Troy can just decide to rush you and you just instantly go down. We'll just leave it at this fight was not fun. This is where the whole challenge part really kicked up in this challenge run. It was decently difficult before, but this is the point at which it really dropped off into actual bullshit. You'll see shortly. However, I finally killed Troy, after which I received the call from Typhon DeLeon, the first Vault Hunter, telling me to go to Necrodefeo. Once on Necrodefeo, I quickly made my way over to Typhon's base, where this dumb robot created an invisible barrier that I could not circumnavigate in any way, shape, or form. But it was alright because he moved shortly after, and I finally met the legend himself, Typhon DeLeon. Typhon led me to a big door, where I put the 3 vault keys we already acquired into pedestals. Typhon said there was another key, and I had to go get it. So I made my way over to the bridge, fought off some Malawan guys, and blew up a generator. But this wasn't just any generator. It was General Daniel Tront's favorite generator. And since I blew it up, he decided to blow up the bridge to the vault, and made it his life's mission to get revenge for his favorite generator. I took it upon myself to personally go to General Tront and offer him my sincerest of apologies for blowing up his favorite generator. But he wasn't having it, and demanded retribution. so I won fairly in a battle to the death. Typhon encouraged me to delve deeper into the vault ruins, and on my way I offered countless Pandoran greetings just the way he taught us all to do. Then, Typhon told me to grab some crystals, put them in some statues, and ride an elevator that he bonked his wife on. And after finally arriving at the vault chamber, I killed some guardians and summoned Typhon. Typhon showed me the way to his wife's grave, and I tried digging her up to get the vault key, but Typhon didn't like that. So I offered my apologies and we returned to the vault with the key. Inside the vault, he told me about him boinking his wife again, which was awkward, but he gave me his big gun that shoots guns, so it evens out. I traveled back to Sanctuary, gave Tannis the key, and watched as Tannis and Ava charged it. After receiving the charged key, I returned to Typhon at the vault machine. Upon returning to Typhon at the machine, with Tannis and the charged vault key, I placed it in the pedestal and we entered the Great Vault machine. Once inside, I gave Tannis the key and followed Typhon to the Prometheus statue. And this brings me to the absolute most annoying part of the run. This part made me question why I did this in the first place. Not at first. The first portion was relatively easy, but soon it would become hell. Between hard-hitting enemies, bullshit placement, Typhon and Lilith being useless, questionable hitboxes, and enraging deaths, this section nearly broke me. But it was this fucking guy right here, that pissed me off the most. Look at this shit. Oh, the fuck did I go down here? How? I'll show it again in slow-mo. How? Please tell me how. But by throwing myself at a brick wall for long enough, it eventually broke, and I killed the anointed Daddy Goliath. As soon as I killed him, Tyreen showed up and broke the machine, and Typhon and Tyreen greeted each other with a proper Pandoran hello. But Tyreen's hello was much stronger and Typhon died. Tannis opened up a portal to Pandora, where Tyreen is, because that's something she can do for some reason, and I went into the portal to face Tyreen. Tyreen said bibbidi bobbidi boo, and absorbed the destroyer, becoming Tyreen the Destroyer. The Tyreen fight was difficult, and I died a couple times, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the previous section. I had some trouble climbing her back, and a lot of trouble getting second wind. Turns out it's better to shoot the armored enemies than the flesh enemies. But all in all, the fight wasn't bad, and upon landing the final shot on Tyreen, she exploded. And I finally answered the question, yes, you can beat Borderlands 3 with only a big iron on your hip. Wow, this is a very different video than the ones I've made so far, but I really enjoyed it, and if you also enjoyed it, let me know in the comments section. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss my next upload. And as always, thanks for watching.